Today on With the First Pick, we put the 2024 NFL Draft to bed 4 days ago, which of course means there's no better time than now for a 2025 way too early mock draft, Rick. And to help us navigate our way through these things are two of our favorite people, experts in all things college football from the Cover 3 podcast, Chip Patterson and Tom Fornelli. I'm Ryan Wilson. That's Rick Spielman. This is episode 155. And Chip and Tom, before we get going, Rick loves above all else routine. And Rick, I got a little present for you. Because God forbid we get you out of your routine here. Look what I did today. Got you a little special board.
No way. That's crazy.
So I don't know if you can read it. We might have to do some, this is a last minute sort of MacGyver thing, but a new countdown board. We'll see how this works. Devo gave me an extra $15 in the petty cash account. So Rick, I don't know if you can see it. How many days until the 2025 NFL draft?
Okay, Chip and Tom, this is my only role here. So there are 358 days until the 2025 NFL draft. And the other note is anytime we have team mocks, I get to wear my shirt. I just hope both teams have fun. Although me and Tom are going to kick your guys' arses through this 2025 mock draft.
Yeah, Chip and Tom backstory. Rick is retired down in Florida, and he loves pickleball. And his family got him that shirt because he was firing pickleballs at his wife across the net, like he was trying to kill that poor woman. So that was the present he got in terms of trying to.
Hey, listen, once a competitor, always a competitor. Mm-hmm. All right, you know, you never lose it. So I understand
for sure.
This is a shirt that was given to me that hopefully I can start maturing in my elder years, and it hasn't worked yet.
Yeah, how's that going? Not great, right?
No.
By the way, if you love college football, you should listen to Chip and Tom along with Bud Elliott and Danny Cannell on the Cover 3 podcast. They are live on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And I don't listen to many podcasts. I always catch Cover 3. Those guys are fantastic. It's the best college football podcast on the planet. And if you want to know about the guys we're going to be talking about 2, 3, 4 years in advance, that's where you need to go. One other note before we get going, Chip and Tom, I think you'll appreciate this. We did a show on CBS Sports Network on Monday recapping the draft, and Rick lost the dollar bets that we do throughout the season.
It is still, there's got to be a recount. It's not true. I think there was some like shenanigans going on the back end because our producer Debo and Ryan have staff meetings without me. So they just said I have a staff meeting. Hey Rick, just show up at 1:00 and do a mock draft. No direction or anything. A lot of side staff meetings. Kind of reminds me when I was a general manager. I was looking for everybody. They were in side meetings. There's running a coup.
So here's how passive aggressive Rick handled that after losing in glorious fashion down the stretch. Those $1 bets at the end of the draft. He logged off of the show with 20 minutes to go. So I'm Jim Roman it by myself on network, just having to talk to the camera for 20 minutes. Just me talking to the camera. So no one wants that, Rick. So I hope you learned a valuable lesson. You've grown up and you're going to be an adult about this show.
The key is just talk slower and like emphasize keywords. Like that's how Jim Rome did it. You just slow it down.
Oh boy, he was
really
baptized by fire.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Rick, we're breaking out into teams here. It's me and Chip against you and Tom, or as I like to call it, Team North Carolina versus Team Midwest. This is going to be a bloodbath, boys. We'll be making the odd picks. You guys will be making the even picks. And I just hope
today
both teams have fun.
Two guys who wish they were in the Big Ten versus two guys who are. So.
Look, hey, no. This is big Southland right here. You're talking about Ryan Wilson from Bowie's Creek. Okay, so let's go fighting camels.
Thank you.
The Harvard of Harnett County, Bowie's Creek. Let's go.
What's with all the teams in North Carolina named with camel mascots, like Campbell Camels? Like
that's it, right? There's no other ones.
But I'm thinking those are probably like the only two in the country. Like how many teams are named the Camels across the country?
Who are the other ones besides Campbell? Is there another?
I thought you just said Ryan's high school
Harvard. When I called Campbell the Harvard of Harnett County.
Harnett County.
I thought you said camels. My bad.
Yeah.
No, the Harnett County, Forest County in North Carolina. But we're trying. We're trying.
All right, let's get going south real quick. All right.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the old mock draft database simulator, Mr. Debo. They have already updated the draft board for 2025, which angers Rick to no end. Chip, we have odd picks, so we'll start at the top. I don't think we're taking Shedeur Sanders. Who's picking? The Carolina Panthers. A lot to assume here with Bryce Young. the quarterback class isn't this deep as we talked about on Cover 3 not too long ago. I'll defer to you about what you're thinking just in general, and then maybe we can talk about what Carolina needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if we're just going to talk about overall best player, like strip away all the positions, I think that Michigan's Will Johnson needs to be in that conversation. And I'm not sure if Carolina is going to be. I don't know how healthy. I cannot look at a crystal ball and know how healthy J.C. Horn's going to be. I don't know what's going to be going on with the rest of that pass defense in general. But if we were to just go out there and draft football players, arguably one of the 3 most important players in Michigan's national title game win against Washington was going to be Will Johnson. And so it's going to be tough for me. We'll hear what Carolina has to do. But if you were just asking me to just like pick my favorite players from the 2025 class, then Johnson, Campbell, tackle from LSU, those we're going to be actually looking at non-quarterbacks from my own, personal tastes.
All right, I was going to ask me my follow-up. Cornerback, I love Will Howard from what I've seen. Will Johnson from what I've seen of him. I am wondering if we lean Campbell from LSU, the tackle, just because Ike Kwani, maybe he moves inside. He hasn't quite yet reached his full potential. I'll put it that way. And if Bryce Young is the future, quotation marks, I think offensive line probably helps Bryce a little quicker than Will Johnson, cornerback. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I love Cam. I mean, this is, again, like if we're stripping away all the like positional value, and tackle, I guess, is a big positional value, but Campbell and Will Johnson are 2 of my favorite overall players, any position here. So we can rock with Campbell for sure.
Sold. Thank you for your input there. Chip, Debo, Will Campbell it is, offensive tackle LSU. All right, team Tom and Rick, you guys got the Patriots. And Shedeur Sanders is sitting right there, hours after Drake May was drafted.
Okay, first of all, on the Will Campbell thing, thank you because that's going to push better players down the board to us.
Ooh.
As long as he does not have to block Dallas Turner or Jared Burke on the games that I watched, he'll be fine.
Okay,
so,
good.
Yeah.
We'll just put him on the bench in those games.
Huh?
We'll just put him on the bench in those games. We'll give him a day off.
Okay.
Maintenance day, as they call it, I think, in the NBA.
Yeah, New England, Tom, I'm going to go ahead and have you take the lead, and then I'll criticize No, we're on our same team. I'll enjoy it. I love the pick, whatever it is.
What amuses me is, like, for those watching, like, you see they show like the team needs. Is there a position that the Patriots don't have a need at, apparently? Because I'm pretty sure they've got every position listed. So I don't know. I would go, I haven't seen him this high in many of the way too early mocks, but this is somebody I really like. Like, I watched a lot of Georgia, tape. And last year, I mean, obviously there's NFL guys all over the roster, and there's a lot of guys that stand out. But the one dude for me who really flashes more than anybody else I saw on that team last year, did not, enter the draft, Michael Williams, the defensive lineman. I just think that is an outstanding player who gives you positional versatility in that he can stand on the outside on 2 feet and, rush the passer, but he can also kick inside and play defensive tackle. Like, he can do a little bit of everything up front. And I think that is just, when you look at his ability and his versatility, for me, that's an incredible player. That's who I'm looking at if I'm drafting at the top of the first round next year.
Can I ask a question? Him compared to the Tennessee edge rusher?
Pierce.
I think Pierce is good. I mean, I understand why he's being, talked about as somebody who's going to get an early first-round pick next year, because I think he will be. I just think that Pierce is more of a one-dimensional player in that he can get after the QB. I don't love him so far against the run, and I think Michael Williams is just, again, he can get after the passer, he can kick inside and stop the run, he can do everything. He's just kind of like there's been like some linebacker safety hybrids. I feel like Michael Williams is like a defensive line hybrid. He can play just about anywhere across the front.
Okay.
Is he better than Darius Robinson?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to lean on your expertise, but I kind of like Pierce myself. He had the pick 6 in the Iowa game that I watched. And it's hard to find edge rushers with that length and that quickness and that ability to turn speed to power and then also counter. I do agree with some of the ability to anchor at the point, especially versus the bigger bodies and combo blocks. But I'm going to trust your judgment. We're going to let a Pro Bowl pass rusher go by, who I thought watching him would be the first pass rusher in this year's draft off the board. I liked him better than Dallas Turner, Latu, everybody. But I'm going to trust your judgment. Go Patriots.
I love this. This is so because you know what? James Pierce is a great example of a college football analyst or a college football fan is going to take Williams over Pierce every single time because you've watched Williams be so good in so many high stakes games and do so many things well. And Pierce has tools and physical abilities and things that are going to stand out to a scout, but it doesn't flash or pop. If you watch an entire season of Tennessee football, you realize he's a special talent, but you don't think about him as one of the best players in the country. Like he's not an All-American. He's a first-round pick, if that makes sense.
So how did you guys feel about Dallas Turner a year ago compared to James Pierce now?
Oh, I mean, Dallas Turner's been good for a while. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
they turned him loose as a freshman, where it was like he was running opposite of Anderson, and so everybody was slanting everything towards Anderson. And then as a freshman, he had the closing speed of a predatory cat. You can't ignore 15 on the outside just to make sure that you're taking care of Anderson on this side. So
Right.
I was high on him last year as well.
Is a predatory cat a cheetah, or would it be a lion, or would it
it's
be
all encompassing, Rick? That's what we do. Is it's like a flex, right? I'm able to get the ball.
I'm just like
your predatory cat fantasy team. Who's you putting in your flex spot?
I need a visual of what a predatory cat looks like.
All right, so Chip, it sounds like Rick just Jerry Jones us and told us and the world exactly who he loves, as Jerry was doing over the weekend with the running back. So we can take James Pierce. There's a need here in Denver, but they need wide receivers. They need offensive line help. They need cornerback help. But I'll defer to you in terms of what you think makes the most sense. And I appreciate your explanation of why James Pierce is viewed differently depending on the lens of with what you're looking at through.
I mean, it would be hilarious to take James Pierce so we get him, right?
Oh, he'll be angry. He'll take it out on Tom.
James Pierce Jr. No, listen, we got to lean into the bit. We got a lot of picks to go. We can flex our knowledge later.
All right, we want to thank Rick Spielman. Rick Spielman, you can announce this pick for us if you like.
Fine, he's
all just having fun. Both teams are having fun today. That's the goal of this podcast.
All right, Team North Carolina is taking James Pierce. And special thanks to Rick Spielman for doing the scouting for us on that one.
Bust.
He's going to Denver next up. The Washington Commanders, who had a fantastic draft, but 3 or 4 days ago. So you guys are back on the clock.
I don't know about you, Rick, but in my last mock before the draft, I had Washington because they had so much draft capital. Like I had them trading back up into the first round to get one of those tackles. And I agree. I think they had a very good draft, but I still think at this time next year, they're going to want to upgrade their offensive line a bit. So I'm looking at the tackles. Does anybody stand out to you that you've seen so far?
I liked Banks, but Banks reminded me a little bit of Fatanu because I don't know his length, and he may have to kick inside. I love his athletic ability. Once he gets on pass pro, though, some of those lengthier defensive ends can work around his edges. Really good athlete in space on screens. I think he's physical as a run blocker. But I do like him. Did they take the Mr. Roboto from LSU? Did they already take him, Debo?
Who's Mr.
Campbell?
Roboto?
You call him
Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we took Campbell.
Okay. I would lean in offensive line for sure because I like this kid's mentality, and he reminded me a lot of Fatanu.
Yeah, I'm cool going with Banks.
All right, we're moving right along.
College angle here. Kelvin Banks was the top-rated prospect in Steve Sarkisian's 2022 recruiting class. The second highest-rated prospect was DJ Campbell, another offensive lineman who's going to be in this draft cycle. And if you want to see, Texas makes the playoff last year, first Big 12 title since 2009. They're going to enter the SEC as a favorite to make the playoff. Steve Sarkisian made a conscious decision in that 2021 and the 2022 classes. He said, we have to build up along the lines of scrimmage. 2021 cycle had Byron Murphy. He's putting this all together in a way that I think shows that he knew what he needed to be in terms of at the line of scrimmage in the trenches to be successful, not just in the Big 12, but to get SEC ready. I thought that was a statement when they signed him, and he's done nothing but develop into a future pro.
Love it.
Look at this guy.
By the way, it's incredibly beneficial for me having you guys explain to me these players in a nice way. I won't point any fingers about why I would mention that last part. All right, here we go. Tennessee Titans on the clock. Now, they need help at cornerback, Chip.
Let's go.
They need help at, I want to throw this out there. They need help at wide receiver if you want to get them a big play. They did sign Calvin Ridley, but Traylon Burks isn't exactly a burner. DeAndre Hopkins is 30. So I didn't know if there was a wide receiver that made sense here, or even our guy, Travis Hunter, if you're looking for a two-way guy. So if you feel better with Will Johnson, I'm fine with that, but I just want to throw that out there.
I feel better with Will Johnson. I think that Luther Burden, Teteroa McMillan,
Amika Buka.
Yeah, maybe. Like even when you get down to Deion Burks, who's now going to be at Oklahoma, I think we got a minute before we can, feel pressed to grab some of those. So let's get best available. Will Johnson
it is, Debo. All right, we're 5 picks in. Before we get to pick number 6, where the Giants still need a quarterback, and Carson Beck and Shedeur Sanders is still sitting out there. We're going to take a quick break. We'll hit pick number 6 right after this.
From the world of Sonic the Hedgehog, is there anyone stronger?
No.
Tougher?
No.
Hungrier?
Grapes was an interesting choice for someone who doesn't use fingers.
Knuckles, now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Okay, Tom and Rick, it sounds like in the post-draft debriefing, the Giants were trying incredibly hard to get from 4 up to 3. The Patriots were not coming off of that. Clearly, they wanted Drake May. They didn't get a quarterback in this draft class. So, young men, what are you doing at 6 for the Giants?
Oh, we got to go quarterback, don't we?
Yes, quarterback, please.
All right. Who is it?
I don't know who the top quarterback in the 2025 class is yet. I don't know who it's going to be, but based off what I have seen right now, I would take Carson Beck from Georgia. I just think that he is the most kind of NFL ready. I don't know if there's truly like a high ceiling franchise guy in the 2025 class. If there is, they haven't really emerged yet.
Yeah, I watched his tape when Debo gave me 24 hours straight of watching tape before we got on this. And by the way, Gonzalez, the corner from Michigan reminded me of Gonzalez when he came out, except he needs to be a little bit more patient to double moves. Don't watch the national championship game. He got beat 3 times because he bites on double moves. It becomes more patient, but that's here nor there. You guys can live with that and that pick. Move on in life. But I really like Beck. I thought he improved through the season. He's a good enough athlete. He's not going to beat you with his legs. He can make all the NFL throws. I thought in the beginning of the season, he was kind of trying to guide the ball downfield. But then I saw him throw the 55-plus yarder in the against Alabama, I think it was, where he hit the guy down the left side. And the one thing that really I thought he improved on was his processing. And then when he sees those tight windows between the numbers, he puts another layer onto that ball. I mean, it comes out of his hands quick. I think he's going to continue to grow and rise. He reminded me a little of Drake May, a little bit, the way he's grown, and be interested to see if he can go the opposite direction of the way Drake May went this year by taking it up to another level. But I thought this guy had the biggest upside and the most pro-ready, or will be the most pro-ready when we're talking about this next year.
All right, Carson Beck, QB1.
Are you guys worried about the character concerns?
I don't know of those yet. Are there legit?
Yeah, so he said last November that Thanksgiving food is overrated. He said that, and he also included that mac and cheese is, quote, gross.
Okay.
And I mean,
what are we
it's
doing?
a lot of red flags.
That's not as bad as putting mayonnaise in your coffee, but it's a close second.
You know who else probably thinks mac and cheese is gross, Chip? Tom Brady. So, yeah.
So,
go for it.
You said character. I thought you were saying caricature concerns. Like you didn't like his pick in cartoons?
Oh, well, I mean, his attractiveness is another thing.
Oh, no, we're not doing this again, are we, Chip?
All right, let's go before we get kicked off the air.
If you want to see someone angry, go to the Senior Bowl and have me fawning over Sam Hartman's hair sitting next to Rick Spielman. That did not go over well.
No.
Look, I mean, I'm just saying,
hair.
We've split it both ways. Do you want your quarterback to be beautiful, or does your quarterback not being beautiful mean he has to overcome it with self-confidence and therefore have gained more self-confidence than someone who just breezes through life being pretty?
Absolutely. That's when your buddy who is middling at best is dating the prettiest girl in the high school. It's because he had to work hard at it. It wasn't like he rolled out of bed looking like Sam Hartman. That's a fair point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
it's
don't
kind
want
of
a
like
10,
me
you
and
don't want a
Ryan.
2.
Like Ryan really has to work at it. I just come rolling out of bed looking like
Looking like
this.
that.
Yeah.
At QB, you don't want a 10, you don't want a 2. You just kind of want a solid 7.5.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Next up, Las Vegas Raiders. They did some wild things on day one. They took a tight end after taking a tight end pick 35 a year ago. They circled back and did fill some needs there. So, Chip, offensive line's always a need. Edge rusher isn't a huge need, but defensive tackle could be a thing. Cornerback could be a thing. Skill positions could be a thing with Devontae Adams. So I'll
Travis,
defer to you.
this is a Raiders pick if I've ever seen one. Travis Hunter to the Raiders, 135 snaps a game. Like, let's go. We're gonna play them both ways. We are gonna absolutely bring on Travis Hunter and the entire Travis Hunter ecosystem. Great Raiders pick. Phenomenal Raiders pick.
I don't know. I was overthinking it. Great call. All right. Travis Hunter is off the board, young man. Back to you guys. Arizona Cardinals, who've crushed it the last 2 drafts. I don't know what the need is here.
I thought, yeah, they did a pretty. They had like 1,000 picks in the draft, so I thought they did a pretty good job this year. It's for me, the one name I'm looking at the board, like there's not an obvious need here, but somebody I'm just really, really high on that I think could be a game wrecker on that defense, which I think has added some nice pieces to it in recent years. Mason Graham from Michigan.
Yeah.
Just think they've talked about it, like, a disruptive force on the inside of your defensive line is so valuable in that, to collapse the pocket, to get in the quarterback space, make them uncomfortable. And Graham, to me, can stop the run, but he's also a very, very disruptive force. Like, go watch the Rose Bowl against Alabama. Mason Graham just absolutely dominated that game from the inside, especially in the first half.
Hey, Tom, let me ask you, for people who haven't watched Mason Graham, myself included, how would you compare him to Chris Jenkins, who's a 2nd-round pick, I believe?
I think Mason Graham was the best defensive lineman on Michigan's team last year.
Okay.
I just watched I actually watched that game. I was the only one, and you notice this kid when you're watching Chris Jenkins, and there's a difference in twitch, in my opinion, a difference in ability to get on the edges of blockers inside. Ryan, you get ready for this because this may be your favorite interior defensive lineman.
Oh, all right.
I think this guy may be like Byron Murphy II.
Come on now.
Said and done, but bigger.
Holy Moses. Okay.
I think if Graham was in this draft, he would have been the first defensive tackle taken.
And the first defensive player didn't go off the board till 15. I thought that Byron Murphy or Dallas Turner had a chance to go at 8 in the 2024 mock. So 8 feels about right. We've had a couple other defensive players go in this draft, so we'll see if that holds. But all right, I'm on board then.
Thank you. I appreciate your vote of confidence.
You got it. I was more for Tom than you, but you can jump on that bandwagon. All right, we're up again, Chip. The Vikings are on the board. They went up and got J.J. McCarthy. Where do they have needs, Rick?
Don't ask me. I'm doing podcasts now.
They got Christian Darrisaw, who Rick drafted, of course. They got T.J. Hawkins coming back from the ACL. They could use a little help in the secondary. They got Kyrie Jackson.
Denzel Burke. Is this a Denzel Burke time?
Oh,
yeah, we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, Morrison's
right.
good too. So yeah, let me look at my. Yeah.
So as you look that up,
Not
I'll just
helping.
point out, as Debo noted to me, this actual 2024 draft, the first defensive player didn't go till 15. 5 defensive players so far in the first 8 picks, about to be 6, it looks like.
Yeah, because we're not quarterback crazy.
We're not quarterback crazy at all. Just one quarterback so far.
So if we are about to, in our competition here, if we're about to drop out of tier 1, and I do think that with Will Johnson off the board, Benjamin Morrison at Notre Dame, Denzel Burke from Ohio State, I do think that is when we are dropping into tier 2 for the corners. So, yeah, if you've got a need at corner, let's do it. Denzel Burke.
All right. I'm down with that. And Rick, just your thoughts on Denzel, because you know him. I thought that he had his ups and downs. When he's healthy, he was really good. And I thought there was a chance he might come out. What does that mean? Oh, don't tell anyone?
yeah. No, I'll tell you what he is.
Oh, go ahead.
He had a down year in 22, played much better in 23. I think this guy can play press and off. I think he was more physical, although you'd like to see him secure tackling better. I think he has good ball skills. I watched him. I was at their spring game. This guy took it up another notch from what I saw in 2023 tape. So I expect him to be pushing. I don't know, because I watched the Michigan kid, but I bet before it's said and done that this kid is going to be, because this kid's going to run in the 4.3s. So I bet this kid's going to be pushing as one of the top corners.
All right.
And it's said and done next year.
Well, we got both the top corners in. Number 10, you guys are the New Orleans Saints. Also need a quarterback. Unless you love Spencer Rattler.
They drafted Rattler. He's the answer.
Yeah, Rattler's the answer. Why would we? That's $1. We're even now.
I don't know. Like, I still think they could use some upgrades on their offensive line. It's just looking at what's there right now. I don't know if there's another top 10 offensive lineman in this class, unless you're really high on Booker or Jones, which I think you might be at this time next year. I'm just not there yet. Could they use pass rush help?
They could use, I think they could use some. I know they got Olave, but I don't know how much they did as far as receiver help.
You got my guy Bub.
Okay. Yeah. That's I maybe lean a little bit towards receiver too, because they took Bub in the 5th round. But I think if you look at their depth chart, receiver may be a potential as well.
Well, they do like Ohio State receivers.
I'll just give you Rick's comp, Tom, from last summer scouting on Emeka Egbuka. Do you remember what it was, Rick?
No.
It was Jamar Chase.
No.
As Tom stifles a laugh.
I did not say Jamar Chase.
And Debo will get the receipts for you. It stuck out
Say
to me
more-
because like, that's awfully rich. And
If
your
I go
response
Bengals
was,
receivers, I'd go more T. Higgins than I'd go Jamar. But I don't even think that's.
Yeah. Here, the thought on this kid is that he played injured. He tried to play through a high ankle sprain the whole year. Was not nearly as explosive.
Wait, so Ohio State had a receiver play through an injury? Oh, I'm sorry. My spilling tea. Oops.
Yeah.
A+ off the field character kid.
look what Debo just did for us, Rick. He took a quick search of the rundown from over the summer. Rick's comp for Emeka Egbuka. What does that say, Rick?
Oh, yeah, and Ryan put him with Jackson soft tissue injury.
No, he can't be Jackson Smith and Jigba because he played with the injury instead of just like, ow, my hamstring. I got to sit out all year.
So you guys also do a side Ohio State pod is what I'm hearing?
What? No, we do. We were
Caught
tracking
a lot of
that.
heat last year for our certain thoughts.
Oh, my God. Okay. So Tom, is Emeka off the draft board for you guys in New Orleans?
No, Mika's not off the board at all for me. I like him. But like Rick said, he was playing hurt most of last year, so it's really hard to
Right.
pin him
22, he was really good. And then the only thing that I would say, and I'm a little bit biased, but he made 2 one-handed catches in the spring game this year that were, okay, this dude is a real deal and back on track. I mean, he was route running, speed, run after catch. I thought he was pretty unique in 22. And then I thought very disappointing in 23. Amazing why he came back. But if he played like anything he showed during their spring game, I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a top receiver in next year's draft class.
Yeah, I'm happy taking Egbuka here for the Saints.
All right. The big takeaway for me there that I was right about the comp. That makes me feel a little better.
How do you know that? You think that he's not as slow as Jackson Smith and Jigba, and he plays through injuries.
But Jackson's really fast. It's just that hammy, Rick. It's
Yeah, if his hammy is 100%, you can't see him run.
won't stop hurting.
All right, the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock here, and the conversation a few weeks ago, Chip, was that maybe quarterback might be in the mix for Seattle. Geno's deal is up after the 2025 season, so we can look at other positions. But is there any quarterback at 11 that you would be interested in, or is that too rich?
Do you believe?
Hold on, though. Is Seattle on Deion's approved list of teams he'll let his son play for?
That's also a very important question. I would imagine Seattle would have to be.
Oh, no.
Oh, there we go. We got the answer.
Get ready. Get ready to learn Pacific Northwest, buddy.
Are we taking them?
Yeah. No, 11 is a spot where just like in the you don't give me any other details about what happened. you come in from the future and you're like, Shedeur Sanders was the 11th overall pick in next year's draft. I'd be like, all right, that checks out. So yeah, let's go.
All right.
Shedeur Sanders to Seattle.
Rick, grade that pick.
I like it. I thought he got
good.
better. Yeah, I think that he's not as athletic as Caleb or Jaden, but he does make some big plays down the field, and I think he has more than enough arm talent. He's just not as dynamic as an athlete as some of those other guys that came out.
What is the conversation in the draft room about all the outside stuff, the social media, all the other stuff?
I got 358 days to figure that out. Can we just get through this mock draft and then we'll start working on character?
Hey, Rick, no, baby. The Deion content machine's coming your way. You get ready. It's relentless.
It will be interesting, though, what effect that has if this kid drops because of that. But the kid does play the position with swag. He's like his dad has swag. This kid, I think, plays with that swag when he's out there on the field.
I mean, also there's been, as we mentioned earlier, Ryan, like there has been the proof of year-over-year improvement.
That's true. That's a good point.
He got better from Jackson State to Colorado, and there's a chance he could be even better cleaning up some of the things that he doesn't do as well when we see him on the field in 2024. So let's go. Shedeur to Seattle.
11 picks in, 2 Colorado players off the board. The Colts are now on the clock at pick 12.
I don't know about you, but if I'm the Colts and Benjamin Morrison's still on the board, I'm running that card up to the whatever you got to do with your card now. Call it in. Run it up. I just think that they need help at corner. Benjamin Morrison is the last good one.
Corner.
That makes sense.
All right.
That's the end of tier 1 for the corners, in my opinion.
All right. Buccaneers back on the clock here. Cornerback could still be a need. We just lost out on that. They got Chris Braswell as an edge rusher. They have some young edge rushers there. They got Graham Barton on the interior of that offensive line. Maybe add some more depth along the offensive line, but Cody Mock was drafted last year. They still have Brent Britterson.
What about JTT?
Okay.
Yeah.
You can. Hey, what is Rick? Rick, what do you always say?
You never have enough edge rushers.
All right.
JT Tuimoloau out. JT Tuimoloau
also line him up at corner with those hands.
There are plays that he has made over the last 2 years that are freakish athleticism. Tom, was it 2 years ago against Penn State?
Penn State.
Over?
Yeah, he had like the pick 6.
Yeah, no, he's everywhere. I just love him.
I thought he played better last year against Olu than he did the year before, if I recall correctly, too.
No,
you don't think so?
In 22, I mean, that was like a highlight reel every snap.
He wasn't against Olu on every single snap in that game. 22.
No, but
he was everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he had like tackles for loss, sacks, or whatever he did. He checked every box on a stat sheet that night, except for kicking an extra point. So
yeah, it was a triple-double, as much as you can have as an individual defensive player.
All right, good call, Chip. So JTT is headed to TB, and up next, the Pittsburgh Steelers at 14. Don't mess this up, Rick.
Oh God, am I going to mess this up?
What do we need, Ryan?
Well, they got Justin Fields. He's going to get signed to a 5-year contract in about 3 weeks. I mean, they need help at edge rush depth might be a concern. Cornerback is still an issue, but there's not a ton of needs on the offense. They've solidified the offensive line. Maybe you want to get another wide receiver, but whatever the best player available is, and then work back from there, I think.
Can I ask how far off Abdul Carter is from Pierce at Tennessee?
I think Pierce is better size-wise. I think Abdul Carter is I think he's further along than Chop Robinson is, like as far as being a more complete edge.
Wow.
I don't think he's got that kind of burst off the line yet. Like that's the one thing about Chop. That's why I love Chop so much.
Yeah, but they put him all over the place, right? They put him out in space.
He's been at linebacker. He's
so kind of a utility knife.
It's kind of like the same situation with Harold Perkins at LSU, where it's like you don't know where he's best at yet. And like LSU moves Perkins around and they're putting him at inside linebacker, which I think is a mistake with his size. But it's just that's the kind of thing with Abdul Carter. I feel like he's a very, very good player. I just don't know what he is yet.
We're also losing Manny Diaz as from that Penn State staff. So I'll be curious to see new coaching and the absence of Chops Not new coaching, but no Manny Diaz there trying to all gas, no brakes pressure all the time.
But that's also just kind of what Penn State does with these guys. Like between Chop, Micah Parsons, like they have them starting off at linebacker and they move them around. So it's kind of hard to always get a read. But I like Abdul. I think there's a ton of potential there. Like if the Steelers want to take him, I would understand it.
I'm good with that.
All right. Yeah, they need depth there somehow with TJ Watt and Highsmith.
He's old and injured all the time. Just trash.
Who is?
I'm kidding. TJ Watt.
Oh yeah. All
washed.
All right, pick 15. The Chargers are on the clock here. Chip, and I mean edge rush is consideration because they talked about moving on from both Bosa and Mack at some point soon. Wasn't mildly surprising that they're both still there as we sit here. I would put tight end there, but I don't know how this tight end.
Colston Loveland. Jim Harbaugh drafts Colston Loveland.
Oh, there it is. 15 too. He didn't even let me finish the sentence, Tom. All right, done.
We set it over under at 1.5 for how many Michigan players Harbaugh was going to draft. He drafted 2.
Oh, Rick, you want to tell them our dollar bet for Michigan players to?
I took the 2.5. I said he'd get 3. So he tried to get 3, but
he did. I think he got snaked like 10 or 50 picks ahead. One of the Michigan guys went before he did. All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you think they're going to take a player, they'll go in the exact opposite direction. I don't know if that informs your decision here, but they're at 16.
Boy.
Yeah, boy. Oh, look at that. Next up, by the way, the Browns finally have a first-round pick after this one.
Okay. The one guy, there's 2 guys that I like that I've seen, Tom. But you're the expert. I liked the safety from Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Starks.
He reminded me and you guys will think this is crazy, but this is just projecting scout. A little bit of Fitzpatrick, the safety.
I can see that. Yeah.
I really thought he was
wow.
Few tapes watched on him, as athletic as all get out, and
he
can make plays on balls on the air, and he's willing and support. He really popped out because you never see any safeties anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see safety. I know the little slot guy. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I wasn't as impressed after watching him this morning compared to. I didn't think he was going to be even in the top 5 receivers in this last draft. But he is a little slot, and he's a little playmaker once he gets the ball in his hands, and he does have speed. But I thought he was a little raw, a little tight as a route runner, and they just do gadget stuff with him all the time, stretching down the field and things like that. But I think he needs a ton of route work and refinement. But I liked him with the ball in his hands. But I'll refer to you too on possibilities.
I love Starks. I would if Jacksonville feels like they have a need at safety here, and I'm with you. Like you don't see safeties going in the first round nearly as much as you probably should, in my opinion. I get that, like from a salary cap standpoint, that it's kind of like running backs and linebackers where you're not reaching for them, but I do think there are some guys that are so versatile in that you can use them in all your packages and against everything you're seeing, that they're worth taking first-round picks on. And I think Starks has that kind of ability, because I also think, like, you look at what Brian Branch has done for Detroit. Like, is he a safety? Is he a corner? I think Starks has a lot of that game to his game too.
Yeah. I mean, he would have been, if it's safety, he would have been by far the best safety come out in this year.
Oh, God, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, love it. All right, the Jaguars have made a conventional pick. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, the Browns are on the clock for the first time in forever, and then we'll rip through these final 16 picks right after this.
Sail GP returns to the beaches of Bermuda. On CBS Sports Network.
All right, pick 17, the Cleveland Browns. Let's try to do these 30 seconds a pick so we can get on with our days here.
I could do this for days.
We can get onto the pickleball court and start terrorizing elderly people. Rick is the guy who plays in the wheelchair pickleball league, and then he stands up at the end and starts pointing at him after he demoralizes him.
To accept the trophy, he gets out of the chair and walks over to the podium. Thank you.
Everybody getting a participation trophy today for this mock. Everybody's a winner.
Everyone's a winner. All right, 30 seconds on the metaphorical clock here. Do we want to do quarterback here? Because I just don't know about the Deshaun Watson business. Is that too out of left field, Chip, or do you want to do something a little more conventional?
I think I would like to do something a little more conventional because when we're talking about especially the quarterback land we're about to wade into, I am not I am not as excited. You know, I think
fair enough.
What would it say? The 2025 quarterbacks are a bunch of Bo Nixes. You know,
Yikes.
like we're starting to.
That's why you had to reach for Bo Nix in the first round next year because next year's class is full of Bo Nix.
That's a fair point. No, that's a fair point.
So what else do the Browns need?
So you could go wide receiver here. Offensive line is an issue. They have DeJuan Jones, who's a fine in around 4 last year. They're getting a little older along the edge. Darius Smith is there, but they obviously have Myles Garrett. They have a pretty good secondary. That defense is actually pretty stout. I would think, we're not taking a running back this high. Nick Chubb is great, but he's coming off that injury. I would think wide receiver, maybe offensive line help.
Okay, what do we have?
Or an edge rusher if there's one there that you love.
I mean, there still got Big Bear. Got Big Bear and Scorton. We can't let Jack Sawyer and Nick Scorton not get picked in this first round.
Is this too rich for Jack Sawyer for you, Rick?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm like, why am I giving them the answers?
Well,
I would take him like 5 picks ago. Plus, Cleveland always goes for Ohio guys. Then they just take Michael Hall Jr. They save money on flying him in. They can just drive from their house up to the press conference.
All right, so it's an economics issue. All right, so
at wide receiver, I don't hate. I mean, y'all are very right that the alpha nerd Eli Drinkwitz does a bunch of gadgety stuff with Luther Burden, but you know what? You can too. You know,
there you go.
You set him up to be successful. Either him or Teteroa McMillan would be fine. They're very different players to me, but I think they're both very good wide receivers. And again, similar to what we had with the cornerbacks earlier, I wonder if we're kind of near the edge of a tier right now, where if wide receivers in need, you'd grab them. So I don't know, Ryan, what do you want to do?
I've seen Luther. I haven't seen Mr. McMillan, so I'll give you the ultimate say on what you think best fits whatever Cleveland might be doing a year from now.
Let's go Burden.
All right, done. All right, there we go.
I'm going to give you guys the answer to every pick you're taking. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm giving them the answers to the test.
I didn't know if you would. I didn't think you would answer the question, but you couldn't help yourself, so that's on you. All right, pick 18. The Rams are on the clock. 2 straight years. Will the Rams have a first-round pick? What are we doing?
Oh boy,
they got to take a QB at some point, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I look at these QBs, and none of them strike me as the kind that Sean McVay is going to want, considering he got rid of Goff for Matt Stafford. It kind of gives you a sense of what he's looking for. I don't see a lot of Matt Stafford types, at least not at the top of the board. But if
Drew Aller,
if you watched Cover 3 this morning, our co-host Bud Elliott brought up a guy who kind of has some Matt Stafford vibes, who hasn't really gotten a chance to show it yet because he was sitting behind Jaden Daniels last year. LSU starting quarterback this year, Garrett Nussmeier.
Oh,
the kid's got a hose.
Is he on the list even?
He's at 422. That's where I'm going.
I love it. That. Screw it. Yeah, because I've heard a lot. That's Nussmeier's kid, right?
Yep.
So yeah,
he's got a hose. Like, it's a strong arm, and I think that you're going to put him behind that LSU offensive line that's going to have 2 NFL draft pick tackles. It's going to have a couple more receivers who are going to go in the draft. I think Nussmeier is going to have a pretty solid season.
Tom, can I stop you though? If you look 2 picks down, any interest? Can I interest you in 5, 6, 7 there? DJ Uyunglele.
No, thank you.
Oh God, move on.
Hey,
no, it's our pick. You're not allowed to interrupt us as we're having our staff meeting.
Who's
Rick?
Who's the GM that's always calling other front offices while they're on the clock just to mess with them? That's what Ryan's doing right now.
Yeah, that was God. What's his name? The guy that was in Cleveland and Kansas City before that. He prank calls people. Who's that, Rick?
Dorsey?
Yeah, John Dorsey. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I say that I 100% agree? I haven't seen this kid play yet, but just hearing when we were down at the LSU Pro Day, while you were gallivanting around talking to everybody, I actually was trying to do work when we were down there.
Thank you.
Talking to some real people, and two people from the LSU staff said, if you thought Jaden Daniels, watch out for this kid next year. Not the athlete, but a much better thrower from an accuracy standpoint.
And I believe Tom Budd said he has a hose, right?
Oh, yeah. He's got that kind of arm. You hear the throw.
Nice. All right.
Like
Well done. And Rick, I mentioned DJ Uyunglele because when I was talking to Cover 3 guys earlier, I made a Danny Cannell-like bet. I said if DJ goes in the first round, I will grow my hair out like George Jefferson and wear it like that for 2 weeks. So I don't think he's going in round 1. Do you?
No, I think he's going to be a tight end.
Okay. Well, if he goes in the first round as a tight end, maybe that's a loophole. We'll find out. All right. Next up, New York Jets. Quarterback is still a consideration. I don't know how long Aaron Rodgers is going to play. He's 40 years old. They didn't get a tight end in this draft. I don't know if we have another tight end that's worthy of a first-round grade. Their defense is pretty stacked. I suppose you could go nickelback if you're looking for some place to point a finger. Maybe off-ball linebacker. Where are you guys on Colin Oliver?
Are you talking about from Oklahoma State?
Yeah. That's Colin Oliver, right? Did I get that
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
He's not an off-ball linebacker, but he's sort of a chess piece. I feel like that you could have some fun with. I don't know if this is too high for him. I'm just sort of throwing it out there.
I mean,
I was surprised. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was going to say there's certainly potential there. I don't know if I'd take him in the first round at this point.
Okay.
Colin Oliver might be another first-round talent, but maybe not an All-American. Another like split down the middle where tools are going to wow scouts. In-game performance are not going to wow college football award voters.
Gotcha. All right. Sorry for that aside there. So, I mean,
is Harold Perkins like that?
Yes.
Do you just grab him and make your defense better?
Yes.
Figure out what to do with him.
Figure it out later.
Yeah. Figure it out. Like Harold Perkins, incredible capital F, capital P football player. Let's go get him.
All right. Let's done. 19. Next up. All right. Rick, Tom is the biggest Chicago Bears fan. That includes Joe Musso, that we know. So I don't know what you guys need at this point.
We need another edge. We need another offensive tackle.
Edge.
Yeah.
Okay. Or tackle. Agree.
Well, I'm glad we took Harold Perkins then.
I would take Jack Sawyer at this point, or Peyton.
Yep. I know what I'm getting with Jack. I know A quality, A+ kid, works his rear end off. I think just the one thing that, and I noticed the difference down at the spring game, he is a little twitchier than he was, but he can play the run. He can get at pressure. And I think this guy's going to take another jump from where he was last year. And he fits, monsters of the midway, whatever the heck you guys used to refer yourself to.
Does he have a chance, Rick, to be better than JTT?
No. I think JTT is just more athletic and more twitchier.
Okay.
But this guy's a really good he's a good football player.
I would just like the Bears to reference themselves as a playoff team. Just,
that's going to happen.
See how it feels.
I picked them 10 wins this year.
Yeah, he picked 10 wins. So
let's go.
4 wins is in your future. Okay. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm used to that.
Quarterback.
That's right. Which quarterback are we taking?
Michael Penix isn't getting any younger.
that joke is never going to get old. All right. They did some wild things. Even trading up for Rook Aurora was a little strange for me. I get the need, but it just caught me off guard. Okay. So, they don't need a wide receiver. They don't need a tight end.
Do they need offensive line? This might be a good Emory Jones spot.
You can always have. Caleb McGarry. Their offensive line's pretty good, but I'm fine with that because if the idea is that Michael Penix Jr. is going to play at some point in the next 8 to 10 years, I suppose you need to have an offensive line there to support him. If these guys are out of contract by that point.
If you have a lefty quarterback, do you value your right tackle differently than you would if you had a righty quarterback?
That's a question for you, Rick, but I would say this. I think Fautanu was better than Rosengarten, but obviously Rosengarten did a pretty good job as a right tackle.
Yeah, to me, nowadays, both edge rushers are pretty good. So I don't think it makes that huge a difference. And if you have a mismatch, whether it's right or left side, you're going to chip help anyway. But look at most of these teams, and it's not just one side that edge is pressure's coming off of.
Yeah, they're
Most
moving
teams
them
have
around.
really good edge rushers on both ends.
All right, I'm good with the offensive line help here. If that's okay, all right. Emory Jones Jr., LSU, you're coming to Atlanta. Next up,
I always
Miami
think of him as
Dolphins.
the son of former quarterback Emory Jones. He's 24 now. So,
all right, who is the fastest player in this draft? And that's who you can take at 22 for the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, I just
Jimmy Horn Jr.
Is there any D tackles left? Because I know
Deion Walker from Kentucky.
Yeah, very good. I was just looking. They need interior D line help.
Yeah, I would go with Walker here.
And this kid's like massive, right?
Yes.
And he's a run. He's not. He's going to be. And it may. And I, like I said, I don't know that, but I don't think he's going to be a unique pass rusher in line. But he can be a 2-down run stuffer, and maybe he's better. And I'm asking, can he contribute some way as an inline pass rusher?
Possibly. I mean, there's always room for growth with everybody, but I think you're looking at more of, like you said, a 2-down kind of just, you're not running through this gap, look somewhere else.
Yep. They had a lot of 1-year plugins to try to fill the gap this year.
All right, Green Bay Packers on the clock at 23. Chip, they're pretty much set on offense. That is Tom Fornelli, not happy about the Green Bay Packers here. Also, fun fact: Rick used to work for the Bears, so you guys have that synergy as well. So they're all set off-ball linebacker. They got Edge Cooper and Tyron Hopper, two guys that we liked a lot. But then cornerback is a need, defensive line, edge rush. I think you could add depth there. I don't think they need anything else offensively, though. They feel pretty much set there. So
let's go Nick Scorton, former Purdue, and will be at Texas A&M this year.
Good player.
Really good player.
Edge rusher?
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked him when I watched him on tape. Someone asked me to watch him. I think he needed another year, but he plays with his hair on fire coming off the edge, too.
There's a reason Texas A&M went after that with some money. So
yeah.
All right, Houston Texans on the clock. This is a team that the footsteps with which Tom Fornelli and the Bears hope to follow, because they are a really good football team. They're picking 24th here.
I mean, I would probably lean defense on this one.
Yeah. Yep. They have enough offense, although there's no any other offensive lineman, right?
Not that I'm dying to get right now.
Is there any other corners up there?
I don't. Jabbar Muhammad's listed as the top. I don't know if I would take him in the first round.
Yeah.
I think that he's got some kinks to work out. Tacario Davis, I can't really offer a great opinion on. Benison, I think, is a good depth guy, but not a first rounder. So I'm probably avoiding corner at this pick.
Edge, they just signed Daniil Hunter.
You know who I like here? Walter Nolan. Another big money transfer who's going to be at Ole Miss this year.
Where did he transfer from?
From Texas A&M.
Oh.
So it's the musical chairs of the SEC these days.
I'm good.
All right. Houston Texans get some help in the middle of that defense. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Who's the best Georgia player on the board?
Right, exactly. So they actually do. I mean, they drafted Cooper DeJean, who's going to probably play nickel safety. Quinyon Mitchell's going to play outside, but they still have needs at cornerback. Chip. They have needs. I mean, I don't know. They drafted Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Nakobe Dean struggles with staying healthy. I don't know if a Barrett Cooper or how does Mondon pronounce his first name? The Georgia linebacker.
Smale.
It is Smale. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is
take those for Debo. Take one of those linebackers.
They hate. That's right. They don't do that in first round. Or you could go. You go right tackle here, because Lane Johnson is in the twilight of his career. They did sign Mekhi Becton, but let's be real about that. So I don't know what any of those guys fit the bill of what we're looking for.
You said we could still need corner.
Yeah, outside corner if we got one. Safety too, for that matter. If there's a safety, if Cooper DeJean plays more nickel than deep center field.
Yeah, I think we already got Starks gone. I feel like safety is about to get dropped off a bunch too. They need defensive line.
I mean,
they value the line of scrimmage, period.
Yes.
Yeah, is it
No.
time? Is it time? I think it's time for Kenneth Grant's name to be called.
All right, let's do it.
Ooh.
I think that falls into the Rick Spielman category. If you can never have too many of fat guys in the middle of the defense.
Oh boy, is this? Are we all in this year too? Next year?
The Cowboys or the Eagles?
The Cowboys.
Oh yeah. You're all in, but you have to define what all in looks like. So 26, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock.
Oh boy.
Tenaroa McMillan.
What about a quarterback?
Tenaroa.
It's too high on our board.
Although
Quinn Ewers, do it.
here's the thing: like if you guys hadn't taken Shedeur earlier, I would totally have him going to the Cowboys here.
I'd love it.
But
I love that.
I think Tenaroa McMillan or Isaiah Bond, depending on how much TV Jerry watches this season. Like, does he get out of the state of Texas? If he only stays local, he'll love Isaiah Bond. But I think if he goes, just watches Big 12 in general, I think he's going to look at Ted McMillan and be like, oh, I got to get that guy in number 88.
All right.
Take him.
Cooking with gas now. Next up, the Buffalo Bills. So, Chip, we can still do wide receiver. They did get Keon Coleman in round 2 after trading down, but they could certainly take another one.
Let's go Bond.
Oh, boom, done.
Yeah.
I had no idea Keon was such a great quote, by the way.
Oh my goodness. I am just all in on Keon Coleman content. The cryo chamber things where he was like, this is like the Undertaker. Hey, cut the lights off, guys. I want to do the Undertaker.
I didn't hear that. I heard the ice skating rink versus swimming pool conversation he had with the lady at the front desk of the hotel.
No, so they filmed him doing the facility tour. This is like on the Buffalo Bills official social media channel. And as he's going through, they're explaining the cryo chamber to him, and it blows his mind. And he makes them cut all the lights out so that they can film him coming out of a smoky cryo chamber like the Undertaker.
Have you guys ever tried a cryo chamber?
I have not.
No.
Have you?
Is a man test. Yes.
I see. You don't feel good coming out of it?
Like a hat. You have to put on gloves. You have to put on stuff over your toes because they'll fall off. But I actually went in there if you stay in there for 2.5 minutes at like minus 140 degrees. And when I came out, they took my core body temperature was actually at 45 degrees. And then all of a sudden your body starts heating back up because you're out at room temperature. And then it feels like an explosion. You feel all this like tingling coming through because your blood vessels are like bringing all that blood back through. So it flushes out all the lactic acid.
Oh.
But it is a man test. It's like
Oh yes.
Yeah, I've done like the cold tub. I've never done a cryo chamber.
Cryo chamber is put on your bucket list one time.
All right, I'll do it. I'll go find one. There's got to be one around here somewhere. I live in one of those neighborhoods, you know.
Yeah, but don't do.
Look at this. There's Rick coming out of the cryo chamber.
Don't do like one. You got to go in a room one. Don't do like the pod one. You go in a room one. That'll test your manhood.
2.5 minutes feels like a long time in that sort of situation.
It was.
How long do you think I'd last in there, Rick?
You wouldn't even get into the first chamber because we had one. The first chamber you went to was like minus 78 to get your body kind of adjusted, and then you go into the deep freeze, and then you just come out, and it's like, yeah, 2.5 minutes felt like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
All right, Rick, we got to get Chip out of here. So let's rip through these last few. He's got things to do.
We on a wide
28, the
receiver run
Bengals.
here. Evan Stewart is where I would go.
All right. Kevin Stewart, Detroit Lions are on the clock here.
Somebody I love will get drafted here. That's just how it goes.
I already know. Oh, I'm not going to give him the answer. I know who I would take.
Well, what do they need?
Yeah, give us a hint because Rick Chip's got to bounce.
We're just both having fun. So you go ahead. I'm not going to keep picking for your team. I pick for your team. Like you wouldn't know what to have taken if I wasn't me telling you guys what to take halfway through this mock.
Ryan, what do they need? What do the Detroit Lions need?
They're in
I know
pretty
exactly what they need.
good-
And there's one sitting there that I really like.
Is it Patrick Payton?
I'm not going to tell you that.
yeah, it is Patrick Payton. Thank you, done.
Yeah. All right. It's Patrick
There it
Payton, the defensive lineman who had more pass breakups than any ACC defensive lineman since 2016. 10 pass breakups last year
Take
as a
that,
defensive
Rick.
lineman.
All right, the Ravens are on the clock at pick 30 here. Don't ask us for advice because we're not telling you, Rick.
Tyler Booker.
No brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Take the
No
defensive,
hesitation.
offensive. Yeah, I think he's going to be a guard.
All right,
He
Tyler
is
Booker
a
kicks inside.
massive human being.
Mm-hmm.
Pick 31. I mean, they don't need a quarterback. We can if there's a wide receiver you love here, we could go in that direction because I don't know if Brandon Ayuk and or Debo will be there next year, Chip.
Who did I call Debo Light this morning?
Oh yeah,
He's out there.
Who was that?
I don't know. I can't remember. I
Dang
can't
it.
remember.
Do you remember who that was, Chip?
Mm-mm.
And whoever the best defensive player is.
Oh, Barry Brown from Kentucky.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, Barry and Brown it is. There he is. Thank you for your great recall. And finally, pick 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. They need a quarterback in the worst way. What are you guys doing?
I mean, they probably.
I got it. I already got it. I understand he's not. They need D tackle help. He's not a great inline pass rusher, but he is a man among boys versus the run, and I think he'll be better as an inline pass rusher. Tyleek Williams. I really liked his tape.
All right.
Works for me.
Yeah, we got to put as many butts.
Chris Jones is, you got to kind of,
32
Chris
picks.
Jones eventually.
Hour on the dot. All right, that's it. That's a wrap for episode 155. Thanks as always to my guy Rick. Thanks to the Cover 3 guys, Chip Patterson and Tom Fornelli for helping us out here. Thanks to Devo for producing. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back here next week to take a detailed look back at 2024 mock drafts. See ya.